You will hear 5 short extracts in which people talk about habits they find difficult to control. For questions 19 to 23, choose from the list A to H the habit each person has. Use the letters only once. There are 3 extra letters which you do not need to use. You now have 30 seconds to look at part 3. Speaker 1.
It starts as soon as I get home in the early evening. I have a quick snack and then log on to one of my favourite sites. Soon I've filled up my basket with all kinds of things. Whether I actually need any of them is irrelevant, and then head for the checkout. It's all so quick and easy. Sometimes I'm watching TV and there's an ad for a tasty-looking ready meal, and I'll log back on for a minute and order that too. Though when it's actually delivered, it usually turns out to be just junk food and it ends up in the bin.
Speaker 2.
I first realised something wasn't quite right when I kept falling asleep at all hours of the day. Getting up around 7 isn't easy when you've been up till 2 the night before, but somehow I never managed to log off until then. There are just so many great sites, particularly news and sports, and also shopping, though I rarely end up buying anything. According to a quiz I did, I do seem to have an addiction, though compared to things like overeating, I don't think it's a particularly harmful one. I mean, I'm quite fit and, unlike some of my colleagues, I always get to the office on time.
Speaker 3.
I always feel I have to be doing something. I just don't feel right if I'm not working on my fitness level, and the possible long-term effects of that are beginning to concern me. It also affects my life right now in various ways. For instance, I always go to bed late and get up early. I also need bigger meals than less active people, and although I always choose food that's good for me, it can be rather expensive and hard to find in the shops. At least, though, the fact that I go everywhere around town on foot means that I'm never held up by traffic.
Speaker 4.
It was on all the time in my parents' home, and it's like that here in my own flat. Usually the same channel too, because to tell the truth, I'm totally hooked on the same kinds of series. It's odd in a way because most people of my generation spend all their time on the internet, or, in the case of the fitter ones, doing sport every evening and weekend. I know my own lifestyle isn't particularly healthy, though at least nowadays I'm up reasonably early, unlike back in my student days when I often had trouble getting out of bed before noon.
Speaker 5.
It's always my intention to set off in plenty of time, but somehow there always seems to be something that holds me up. It may be a job that needs finishing off, an email that has to be answered, or even a TV programme that hasn't quite ended. Then I end up literally running to wherever I'm going, always the last to turn up, and also often the most stressed one too. I've tried getting up earlier in the morning so that I have more hours in the day to get everything done, but the lack of sleep just makes me feel tired later on and doesn't help at all.
That is the end of part 3.